in instrumental music, if you have these two up, they equal this.
Okay.
And so we had them listed out, or they each individually had accounts. And she's like, there's no reason for us to have individual accounts. They can just go into one account. And so that's what happened. We closed out these accounts and made just one account. So that's why you see that.
Like
Okay,
the
you're right. So
contracts
that
for the
wouldn't
new
happen.
elementary teachers
But
and
there you
everything.
Okay. But how about
Are there names listed in there?
No, there wasn't. But I
You know
didn't-
how
I
we
just-
always have, there's always negative.
We offered
well,
contract.
well, I take that back. I'm
So
sorry. I was
we
looking
can
at the
never
wrong
have
one.
negative. I know
Okay.
we can't. That's why I'm just wondering. So what do you do? So
Yeah,
when
so-
you
yeah.
so when you turn
Yeah.
it in.
To Neil, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what I do here. You know, what am I supposed to do? And he's the one that showed me that little trick.
All right.
I'm gonna start the
Ready?
recording. Yep.
Okay, at 6 o'clock, we'll call the board meeting to order. Do we have any additions or corrections to the agenda for this evening? Okay, do we have a motion to approve the agenda for the meeting?
Someone.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Agenda's approved. Next item is the approval of the consent items. Anyone have any questions or comments on any of those?
On the milk, I guess, the bills that we paid, which is, and I see we got $46 back. I assume that's what
What we
you don't
took,
use.
yeah.
So
We could send it.
so like the
No.
next month, is it gonna be,
So then for next month, we won't have any. Yeah.
okay, well, okay, so.
Well, we won't have any for the rest of the year now.
Right, but was that just for it, because wouldn't March have been?
So they would be a month behind,
Right.
right? So what we just paid,
No, I was surprised that that was all that we got back though, just 46.
oh, I'm not surprised. No, they do pretty good about picking the exact, you know, the right amount of what we need in that. So I'm not real, I mean, we
okay, I
may,
just thought, okay.
we may have a credit, but I wasn't too surprised
Okay.
about that. You mean because we weren't,
Yeah.
see, the issue is that we were on spring break that first week. So we had intended not to have too much because we were going to be off a week anyway. Well, then it
Okay.
just turned out that we never came back. So yeah.
Okay.
That
And
spring
that
break really,
contract must be such that we're not
Right.
obligated to purchase a certain amount.
no, because we're pretty, you know,
Good.
yeah.
And that medical enterprises, it's obviously an organization we belong to.
Yeah,
Does
so
Sarah use that, or I didn't, what is she?
they do our bus or our driver drug tests.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So we do the drug tests here, but then we have to send it to them to do all the
But
testing.
that's an annual fee.
Annual. Mhm. So, and that's on the calendar annual, not the fiscal annual. So we just paid the 2021. See what I'm saying? So it always hits us like at the half year
Okay.
of our fiscal year.
And then there were a couple bills for, it looked like track trophies or
Yeah.
track awards. Was that for like seniors or?
That's for all of our track meets that we normally would have had. And we've been,
Oh, you already already did, okay.
We had already ordered them.
Did they say the year on them?
I think we can, I don't know that they say the year. I know that like all the, like the medals and stuff like that don't say the year.
Okay.
And we order them for 2 years at a time. And so that's a biannual fee. But I feel like if there were years, they'll fix it for us. I'm
Okay.
sure of it.
I saw it said 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Say 2 years.
So I know like all of our ribbons and our medals and all that don't have the year. I'm just not sure about the actual trophies. I don't think that it has the year, but I don't know that.
And I would think they could probably get the little
Just take
tag
the-
off
yep.
and put a new
Yep.
tag or whatever, so they're not all wasting.
We had a little bit of a, the guy who, he comes out and he runs the track system. And he normally charges us a good chunk of change. And he was going to charge us like $1,200, even though we weren't playing or weren't having our meets. And I argued that a little bit, and I put it out to my other business managers, and I said, are you guys paying this? Or, you know, I mean, because I was kind of on both sides of it, because I could see that's his livelihood.
Right.
But still, you know,
What was the charge?
They to run
Car
that
tracking.
tracks the
to run
timing
that
system.
timing system.
You pay a
Oh.
fee for someone to come in and do that,
Oh.
and so we had a contract with them to do it. But I asked if it gets rained out, do we still pay it? And it sounds like we don't. So then we're like, so did you end up having to pay it?
I didn't pay it.
Okay.
But a lot of the other schools did, and he sat and argued with them, and they ended up paying it. So I haven't heard anything. I haven't paid
Oh,
it.
we'll
but
see.
We'll see.
So far
I
we
mean,
haven't.
maybe because I said, well, he could go apply for unemployment, and then we could still pay him, and that's double dipping. We can't, you know, how do we know that, you know? And so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
And no prepaids?
No prepaids. We did have a couple, but I was able to get them into the bills.
Any other questions or comments on the consent items? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent items? Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye. Pose same sign. Consent items are approved. Next item is correspondence.
So
Michael.
Teacher Appreciation Week was a couple weeks ago, beginning of May. We emailed the teachers. We told them we loved them. We were thankful for them. Told them they could wear sweats for every day for the rest of the year, like Jeans Day, whatever. But we'll try and do something nice, like maybe in the fall or something when we come back. But there was just really obviously nothing any of us could do. But we do appreciate our teachers, and we're very thankful that we have them. And our school board, it's also School Board Recognition Month. So thanks to you guys for all the hard work you do. There's probably cheering on the Zoom somewhere.
I'm sure that
I'm
I
sure.
have some certificates to give you as well. So
Yeah.
I'll get this to you.
So thanks for all you guys do for us. So,
Thank you.
We've had a couple of tough years. Actually,
Busy years.
more than a couple. Like it started and it hasn't quit.
Okay, the next item is the Early Learning Center report. Looks like we have the April 8 minutes from them. Do we have any comments on those?
So did they open back up?
I think this week.
yeah,
they
this
did.
week they were going to. I think there was.
Heard anything?
Are they at like
Yeah.
reduced capacity?
I think so. There were some kids who were not coming because their parents were still home and that kind of thing. Haley and I went back and forth a little bit just because we were trying to figure out the use of the preschool room as an overflow room if they need it. And so they're going to use that if they need it, but just staying right there in that room and then using those bathrooms if they need them.
How's the summer program gonna work? Have they said anything about that?
Not to me yet. So she said, do the girls still work there?
Yeah, but I haven't heard anything. I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, and I know schools can officially open again, like after their last day of school was supposed to be. So like we have to be officially closed until the 22nd,
Oh,
and then we can open up back up a little bit, like on a limited basis if we need to or want to. And so like we opened the library this week because they were keeping them just in the library, and the library set some pretty strict rules about how they were going to use the library. And the same with the preschool, they're really strict about how they're going to have them in there. Like one of the things we kind of went back and forth a little bit about was the fitness center, and we're going to keep that closed for right now because we feel like the difference between the library and BLC and the fitness center is the fitness center is unmanned. So we don't know that people are going in there 50% or that they're cleaning it after. There's nobody in there monitoring it. So we're keeping that closed until just later there's more guidance.
Well, and I saw the guidance that they sent out today when it said facility usage, you know, outside of the extracurricular school sanctioned sports and things like that, they don't want anybody in here, you know, beginning July 1st, even after that. And I, you know, so I was thinking about, okay, so like the fun days, the churches would normally use it. Well, we're not having fun days. So I don't think it's going to be an issue because the people who normally would use it have canceled their things, you know, but in a normal year, that could be a big deal.
Yeah. And the guidance is, I mean, I'm sure we'll get into this a little bit more at the end, but the guidance is just changing daily. And like spent the whole afternoon on email and text with Rob and Lori and, you know, the admin group, like, what are we going to do about sports? And so it's just, there's more guidance coming out. I think there's more tomorrow. And then there's a Heartland Zoom, I think on Friday. That was originally canceled for Friday, but now they're like, since this new guidance came out, they're going to possibly reschedule it. And then there's more guidance coming out on Tuesday from I think the athletic union and the association. And so Rob and Lori and I are meeting Friday just to start putting our heads together. Like how are we going to roll out baseball, softball? How's that going to look? And how is summer weightlifting and all that sort of thing? So it's just so fluid. So stay tuned.
Any other comments on the Early Learning Center report? Okay, we'll move on to the public forum. Anybody in the public forum have something to talk to us about?
If anyone on the public on the Zoom has something to say, can you just hit the raise hand button? Okay, I don't see anybody. They're all just watching.
We'll move on from public forum into the business items. And the first item there is a construction project update. Got a copy of the monthly budget summary. We also need to move on the $225,000 general obligation school bond. So, guess the only thing I've met with Dale a couple times here in the last week, and one thing he talked about, and I think we got one bid, he talked about getting another, was the parking area on the north side off of the street, to maybe consider concreting that. Basically from the new entrance to the elementary entrance. If you remember last year, from the elementary entrance to the west parking lot, we did the seal coat on that, which that's in okay condition. That, I mean, they didn't tear it up or anything, but this other we're gonna have to do something with, either try to seal coat it, or if we wanted to spend the money to concrete it, which that would be a long-term solution. I think the first bid you got was about 19,000 something to do that. So it's a lot of money, but it would be done for the long term. And then at some point in the future, maybe a summer project, we could take concrete from the elementary entrance on to the west, and then, you know, next year or two, something that would make snow removal easier, I think.
And
maintenance would be easier.
didn't we get a bit of a price break because they were doing some other stuff?
I think so, yeah.
Well, our contingency does that say that we will have 100, as they said, approximately 130,000 or
Mhm.
whatever? Is that called for or spoken for? Is that not yet, or is that still?
No,
So I mean, I
Yeah.
realize something else could come up.
Right.
right.
Yeah, we've taken that. I mean, just in here, I see what it was, what the total was. Yeah, and I don't, we've used that, but I guess I don't know. We should, maybe I'll shoot off an email to Jamie and ask him where we are on on our
because I thought
contingency.
we did.
I think in that
Isn't
email,
that,
it did
said,
say.
yeah, I thought we
like
had
130.
yeah, and I think that's what we still have left that we haven't
But
tapped
I
into.
was like, usually, I thought we kind
Yeah.
of.
And he said there was a couple little things that were to come back to
Mhm.
us, like 8,000 or
Right.
less.
Yeah.
That would.
And we have had some, I mean, Jimmy's done an excellent job of
Yeah.
cutting corners where we could. So we could have very easily,
Right.
chunked it back up there and then, and then maybe, I know I saw a credit we saw a credit from Iowa Demo, where they didn't use as much as they thought they were going to. So,
And we never, the heating and cooling, that was quite a bit that we ended up not deciding to just not do it. So that put money back in our pocket.
yeah.
They have done a really good job of staying on top of it though,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
getting our money back.
Mhm.
I just think about if we wouldn't have had them. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
And Dale out there in that parking lot that they've poured by the East Gym, some of it cracked. The concrete sat too long before they got to it and that. Yeah.
Is
And
it 9
there's
panels?
9 panels that are going to have to come out and be redone. But I mean, that's to the untrained eye. You look at them, it's like, well, concrete cracks. And
Mhm.
Dale's
Yeah.
like, no,
Nope.
you
Yeah.
want it fixed.
Yeah.
So
Not that soon. I would-
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about that. I think that was about the time those whiteboards issues was
Yeah.
going on. It had been really windy. I said, "Oh, I bet that wind's helping the concrete dry." He's like, "Yeah, too fast." So he says,
Do we have to pay for the report?
No.
Nope.
He seems great.
Yeah. He's a gem.
Yeah.
The whole team just couldn't be happier with all of them.
So, again, we don't have to decide tonight. I think they wanted to know by June 1st, that first bid
Mm-hmm.
wanted to know by then so they could lock in. I mean, they're going to be on site. That's one of the,
I think that's
Yeah.
part of the
Contract.
price breaks,
Yeah.
because they're already here.
Yeah. so. If you feel comfortable deciding tonight, that's fine. Or if you want to take a few days to think about it, we can reconvene and make a decision. So. Anybody have any thoughts or what way we want to go?
If we have the money now.
It looked nicer up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
From a long-term maintenance standpoint, it'll make,
Like say last snow removal, we don't have a big pile of gravel pushed up.
Yep.
After
Yeah.
transfer off the-
then try to get it out of the grass or whatever.
Mhm.
Or they gouge the seal coat and then you got a hole started there.
Or the new sidewalk that they put in.
Any other discussion on that? We want to move forward with it, or we want to take a little time to think about it?
We can. That'd be a good idea.
Is that a
If-
motion? I take it then?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. If Jamie says we have enough in our
Yeah.
unspent balance of construction.
Okay, we got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye. Pose same sign. Motion's approved to pursue, and there potentially could be another bid coming in too.
So if it comes in lower, so we want to do it and then just whatever the
Whatever
lowest
the low
bid is. Okay.
Because it would be one of the other contractors that's on site here from
Oh.
what
He was just gonna have somebody else.
Dale said, yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know if it was Construct or who, but
Mhm.
one
Okay.
of those that is here already, so. Okay, sounds good. So, Julie or Michael, do you want to talk about that general obligation bond, what we need to do there?
Yep. So you have two votes here. One is on the tax exemption certificate, which is basically you're just approving or verifying that we are a tax exempt entity, and so then that's what that's for. And then there'll be a roll call vote for that one, and then you'll have a second vote, and that's for the resolution amending the resolution authorizing the issuance of not to exceed 225,000 general obligation bonds and levying the tax for the payment thereof. Because of the first resolution, they just sort of guesstimate what the interest rate's going to be and all that. Well, then once it comes in and we actually issue the bonds, then we know what they are, and so you just have to amend it. It's really just, we did this last time too. It's just really a legality that we have to go through.
Okay.
And there'll be a roll call vote for that one. So if you want to do the tax exempt certificate first.
Okay. So we have a motion to approve the form that certifies that we're a tax exempt entity.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote.
Corey Robinson,
Yes.
Debbie Meyer,
Yes.
Colette Kunkel,
Yes.
Kim Ticky,
Yes.
John Northrup.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, then the next is a motion for the resolution amending the resolution authorizing the issuance of a not to exceed $225,000 general obligation school bond and levying a tax for the payment thereof. Somebody want to make a motion to that effect? We have a second.
Second.
Roll call vote on that.
Corey Robinson,
Yes.
Debbie Meyer,
Yes.
Colette Kunkel, Kim Ticky,
Yes.
John Northrup.
Yes.
Thank you.
See here that East State Street, there is a.
It's okay.
That's
That's okay.
actually,
That's the
that's the
bid,
bid,
yeah.
so if anybody has any questions on it, there it is. So. Okay, next item is principal reports.
Okay, I'm gonna unmute Jason. I'm gonna unmute Rob. Okay, Jason and Rob, I have you unmuted, but I do not have your cameras on. So, and you're not up on the projector, so I'm just gonna turn you up. So whoever wants to go first, just go ahead.
I'll go first. You guys hear me okay?
Yes, you're
Yep.
not. Okay, yep.
I'm just going to keep this pretty minimal. I think, the last month, our teachers have done an excellent job of, working through this time, teaching our kids, communicating with families. They've just done an excellent job. So I couldn't be prouder of the work we've done that way. A lot of work just kind of on the table right now, preparing already for next year. Conversations, our teachers are starting to have conversations with each other about standards and targets that weren't met at the end of this year or hadn't been taught at the end of this year, so that the next year teacher can start to prepare for those things. But really, in the end, right now, I think they're probably getting a little tired of me every week telling them, I'm just waiting for some guidance. And so that's kind of where we're at. But we're getting there. So I think one of the things we have to look forward to here is we're trying to plan our end of the year checkout and turn in. Zach and the staff have done a lot of work with the summer reading program that we had planned anyway. And so Zach and I worked through an order of about 550, maybe total we're going to be closer to 700 books that we purchased for kids, pre-K-5 for the summer. The teachers are working hard on getting kind of plans for what they hope the parents and the students can do with those books in the summer, as well as other books. And so we're just kind of waiting on that order to come in. Half the order is supposed to come in sometime today, it looked like, actually the 20th. The other half the order, we're not really sure. We haven't heard anything from UPS, so we're just waiting on that. And as soon as we have all those books organized, we're going to set something up with our parents to have a pickup for that and get rolling with that. So looking forward to that, pretty excited about that. And other than that, that's all I have to share tonight.
You guys have questions for Jason or anything?
Yeah, I guess one question about you mentioned the checkout and the turn-in. Is that in regards to Chromebooks specifically, or?
Yeah, so we have a couple things going on, Kim, that I wish I could have been a little. I just wish it would have moved a little faster, but we're really trying to eliminate multiple times that parents and stuff have to come to the school to get stuff. So we're hoping for a large, what I call turn in and hand out kind of day. So we're going to get our Chromebooks back because Greg needs to make sure that they're all ready to go for next year, whether there's any issues with them that need to be fixed, cleaned, etc., whatever. We also have the majority of our families, their students still have personal items in the school that our teachers have bagged up and put their names on. So we want to get the Chromebooks back, give the personal items back to them, and then do these books all in kind of one giant day, or set of days. So I just wanted to avoid, having a day to turn in Chromebooks and pick up personal things, and then our books still hadn't came in, and so then we're trying to figure out a way to get the books out to everybody. So really hoping that can happen next week, but I'm really probably thinking it's going to be the first week in June that we're going to get all that done. So
Because Scholastic had said that typically it was 7 days when you order so the books come in. But Jason, didn't they say it was going to be more could be up to 30 days?
It could be up to 3 times the length of normal time, so 21 to 30 days for them, just because their employees are trying to fill orders. UPS is maybe a little behind on things, so they just told us that we shouldn't count on 7 to 10 days. So I think Zach and I placed the order on May 4th. We heard from them 2 days ago that our first half of our orders coming in today, and then the rest of it, they didn't have anything from UPS yet. So
Jason, could you just keep in mind that since we're receiving that before June 30, that we'll need to pay that bill before June 30? Okay. I don't know if you'll get the bill or if we will, but.
Yeah, so are you just telling me if I get it to let you know about the bill?
Yeah, because we'll need to pay it before June 30.
Yeah, for sure. And we just want to make sure, obviously, I'm Julie, you're fully aware, but the bill's being paid out of Zach's fundraiser. The basketball teams, both basketball teams raised a lot of money for that. And then we're going to use some of those Eli funds to offset anything. But I think that's all in the PO. So
And that was the Bucks for Books.
Bucks for Books, and then the Eli for the remainder cost there.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
Yep, for sure.
Rob, you're up.
I'll be like Jason. There's not, pretty quick, short, I think, kind of not been a great day. So for me, with a lot going on, with stuff coming out and just been crazy, but just a couple of things. We've let all of our 6-12 kids get in. I think we had 4 different days to come in and get things out of their locker, gym locker. There's still quite a bit there, but at least we've given that opportunity. And I would assume after June 1, they'll have the opportunity to come in again, or at least times. But we had quite a bit of traffic. Angie did a great job. Dennis and I, Pickett, Michael, and everybody was here helping kids, just so we didn't get too many kids in the building. So we did that. Kind of put most of our focus the last couple weeks on our seniors. Tough time for them. We wanted to make sure we recognize them. I wanted to say thanks to Andrea Berg and Jennifer Popenhagen, who did a lot of work to get things set up as far as adopt a senior. And you probably saw the signs in town with every senior in their picture. Debbie Meyer helped immensely with Michael and some other parents to get the breakfast put on for them. That was great. Had the senior parade, got them into the building, thanks to Dale and everybody to let them see the new addition. That was pretty cool. Did the time capsule. Deb helped set that up, and we got a lot of things in the time capsule and put that in. then we walked the halls. It was great to have KCCI out here to give us a little bit of publicity. Got a lot of great feedback from that. So right now we at least recognize the seniors, and it sure looks now with things opening up, we'll be able to have that ceremony in June outside, which will be a first for us, but we'll at least get them a diploma and the opportunity to put their cap and gown on. As far as school things go, our teachers have also, I think everybody's ready to call it good and get to the summer. Our numbers have dropped off a lot in the last week and a half with kids checking in, what they're doing. But, we've been grinding, and I think right now the focus is on return to learn, and there's a lot of anxiety, unknowns for teachers on what that will look like in the fall. So everybody's just, a little on edge. We're trying to go business as normal. Travis has been rocking it. We've got kids registered for classes for next fall, put some orientations out online. About everything we did, we at least tried to modify or get out the best we can. But it just feeling the pulse of our kids and maybe our parents that they're ready for summer, and let's try to tackle this again with whatever we have in the fall. But I was just happy for our seniors, and we're doing the best we can. Got some news today that I think we've got a lot of work ahead of us here for if we go baseball and softball and what that looks like. But we'll cross that bridge too. So that's all I have, but questions if anybody has anything.
Questions for Rob? No, Rob, you questions, or you just sorry? Okay. Okay, Rob, I think. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sort of.
Kinda.
We have but then Mrs. Heimer was our middle school softball coach, and then she's been up in Minnesota, but I think she's been back too.
She's been back off and on.
But
I just don't know what her plans are.
yeah, so we'll just have to call her back in or figure that out. Like I said, we've had a busy day. Rob's not the only one who's had a long day. So, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and mute you guys again, but do you want to be muted, or you want to chime in on things? Rob and Jason. Actually, they've checked out. They muted themselves. Okay, they are muted. So, all right. So that's principal reports.
Yeah.
They'll probably want to do this every time.
Yeah.
We're out.
Moving on to the next item in the agenda is the 2018-2019 district audit report.
Okay. So
Really gave us a hard copy.
We got the hard copy, and I'm just going to go through it just at the very end. There's a couple of findings. Otherwise, it was a great audit. I mean, Julie knows her stuff. The numbers matched up. They were very pleased. In my own audit of the audit, I noticed that they need to update their superintendent.
And they ask us that every year.
I know. So I will have to file my own finding with the company.
They probably just put it in there.
Many of these things are the same thing.
Yeah, you're right.
They probably just put it in there to see if we really read it.
Right, really. So just probably three little things. The first one was typically we overestimate our budget just a little so that we don't have to go in and put in an amendment. But then with the construction, things got a little goofy. So we went over a bit, and then, we used different funds to pay it back. And so anyway, it was fine. It's just we had to file an amendment to correct it, but not a big deal. And then the next one was questionable use of state funds or whatever. The late fee interest charge on the credit card,
It has plural, but I remember the one time we actually talked about it in here, but was there more than one?
They only brought one to our attention.
Yeah.
Okay, because
But they probably just
discussing it.
So, and anyway, we've
But we need to.
it
needs to be done.
We can't have that happen. There's just no excuse for it. So we are working on a plan for that to get it corrected so that just doesn't happen, because it can't happen, and so it won't happen anymore. And then another one that we've talked about, I think we've talked about it here too, maybe, is the sales tax. And it's kind of goofy. If you buy things online from somewhere outside of the state, then they charge tax, but they're not supposed to charge tax. So then we ask them, well, how do we do it? And how do other schools do it? And they're like, good question, but it still was a finding.
Yeah, and we did get a little bit of a clarification. It was funny because when Michael and I sat through our exit review, those auditors that were on site told us, I said, okay, well, we can control the Iowa sales tax. You know, we can not pay that. But how do you control outside of the state? How do we qualify to not pay sales tax outside of the state? And that's what they did. They just kind of really didn't have an answer, right? So I put it out to the business managers, and they were a little stumped as well. And they actually had Nolte, Corman, and Johnson too, a couple of these other schools, and they said, well, they told us that you will have to pay sales tax outside of Iowa. Yeah. So then I went to Mary Johnson, Nolte, Corman, and Johnson. I went to Mary and I just said, okay, your auditors told us that we cannot have sales tax paid outside of the state of Iowa or inside the state of Iowa. What is it? She says, inside the state of Iowa, you don't pay sales tax. Outside of the state of Iowa, they should honor it, but you can't control it. So there are possibilities when there's going to be sales tax that you have to pay that's outside the state of Iowa. And a lot of that comes on online shopping, the Amazons or, places like that are, it all depends on, I believe, where their home office is. That's the sales tax that you're paying is where that is. So, but I think if they have an office in Iowa, then they'll avoid the sales tax, even if there's multiple offices or whatever. So it is very messy, and which is not good for us black and white people. It's a little stressful. And so, so I just have to come down hard on everybody all the time, and say we cannot pay sales tax, the biggest issue is like restaurants. If we are paying, because we had PD or something, and we swung by and picked, got lunch and then went back to the PD or something like that. The people who are using their credit cards, who have them, just have to be so diligent and really be aware of what's happening right at the time, because those people who are checking people out in the restaurants, they don't have any idea that, schools are tax exempt and how to go about doing it, so it's really our people who have the credit cards that have to be in the know about it. So
it's not not when a teacher uses a credit card to buy lunch and they get reimbursed. It's a school.
Well, if
a teacher buys lunch with their own personal credit card and then want to be reimbursed, we won't reimburse them the sales tax. We'll only reimburse them because we can't pay sales tax. This is the actual school credit card.
Yeah.
I have one, the principals have one, superintendent has one, Pam has one, Deb has one.
But
every now
this
and again,
came from before that. This was from buying stuff online.
Yeah.
But if we have a meeting and Julie printed up, I can show you some little small.
So I had to really tear down on. Yeah, I hate
she did. No, that's all right. So she printed out these little tiny tax exempt things for us, and they're like, "What?" Yeah, and it's got
that's our tax exempt.
That's got so we wrote the number. I probably should broadcast that online.
Well, because anybody can just walk in and say,
but,
"Hey,
yeah." So we've got these forms and the credit card that if we are going to be at a meeting that we show them this. But that was after we got this.
Yeah.
So, and I also feel like she does such a good job that they have to find something.
Sure.
So this is the hill they were going to die on this year.
Because I even say that to them, I want one audit where we have no findings, nothing. And they said, well, that's just not going to happen, right? Even if we have to
unless
dig
we
something up,
we're never going to have the first one.
No, we'll always have segregation.
We'll have
And that's what they said, you'll always have that.
Unless we hire somebody else.
Probably a couple. I mean, if you look at the Des Moines Public Schools where, this person does accounts payable,
Right.
this person does accounts receivable, this person does payroll. I mean, we'll never get there.
Right.
We just won't. So, but we're not an anomaly. All the smaller schools all have that. So
I wonder if some of those places where we do repeated online shopping and that, there's a sales tax exemption form you can do. I know for farming, and you can email it to them or whatever, And they'll keep it on record. So every time you go in to buy something, they'll know it's on record, and then they won't charge.
Yep,
So
and
is
we
there
do,
something like that
we do
can
that with the majority of our vendors.
Okay.
The issue is that a teacher will just out of the blue come up with a vendor that they want us to order something from, and it's a first time thing, and this happens all the time. I mean, it's technically a regulation that we're supposed to approve all of our vendors and make sure we have all their tax exempt certificates on file and all that stuff. Well, that's just not possible. I mean, you've got, you know, we alone have 40 teachers who are coming with brand new companies all the time. You know, we just can't. But what we do is, so we may get billed, and it may not even be credit card. We may get billed through a purchase order, and they've charged a sales tax, and I'll just not pay the sales tax, and then we'll send the tax exempt form back with it, you know. And so it's a lot of the time it's, you know, after the fact, or we're playing catch up. But you're right, John, like the Amazons of the world and that, you know, they know that we're a school and education place, but sometimes, you know, how through Amazon you buy it through third party, you know, sometimes that's when it gets you. But really it's more like that was online, but a lot of it to me is like, you know, the physicality when we're actually like in a restaurant or, you know, buying gas or, you know, something like that. So it's just something that we have to keep on top of all the time. Yeah. So.
Any other questions or discussion on the 2018-2019 audit? Okay. And we don't have to do any approval, or do we?
Yeah, you do.
We need to approve that audit.
Yep.
Do we have a motion to approve the 2018-2019 district audit? Do we have a second? Second. All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Audit's approved.
I don't know what would happen if you wouldn't approve it.
Okay, the next item is the 2020-2021 master contract.
Hot off the press.
Looks like we got a link there to
Hot off the press.
it.
If you go to the very back page, that's where your signatures are.
July 1st, 2020.
Yep. And you'll see you don't have any signatures, but we do have a signature back from Amy.
See the last page, Julie?
Yeah, yeah. It used to be that you had several places where you signed, but now that we have the new one, you just have that one place. And I requested that I got 2 signatures back by 3 o'clock today, and I just got 1. So, but one's better than none.
But we can still approve it with just the one.
Yep.
So.
Right.
And I actually have teachers and coaches contracts ready to go. And we'll talk about classified salaries in a bit. And so then I'll get those ready tomorrow. But then my goal is to have those sent out by Friday. And so then they have 21 days to get that back to me, which would be June 12th. So I tried to hurry.
And are you doing them mail or email?
I'm doing them by email.
Yeah.
I put them out. I put the question out to my other business managers today, and there's actually different kinds of software out there that you can actually use to do it. But some of them actually just use Google Docs and I actually kind of did a test run with our leave absences. So like their balances. I thought, well, I'll just do a test run with this and see how they handle it, because they have to sign off on those balances, agree to those balances. And so we did that just within the last week or so. We did pretty good. I only have probably a handful of people who haven't gotten it back to me. They still have till Friday to do it. So I just sent out an email today saying, I'm going to be sending your contracts electronically on Friday, so be watching for them. So I think it'll be okay. I told them that they can sign them and scan them and email them back to me, or if they don't have that ability, they could just sign them and then just put them in my mailbox here. So.
And as far as the master contract, that was we negotiated a $100 increase on the base, right?
Yep.
And then movement.
Yep.
So,
well done.
Appreciate the teachers working with us this year, and little tighter budget year. We hope future years will have a little bit more, but it's kind of take it as it comes. So, but we appreciate them working with us on that. So. Okay, do we have a motion to approve the master contract for 2020, 2021? Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. Master contracts approved. Okay, next item is annual curriculum purchase.
Okay, I gotta unmute Josh. Okay, Josh, I have you unmuted. Your camera isn't on, but which is fine because no one can see you except me anyway. So hit it, I guess.
All right, sounds good. So this year, 6th through 12th grade language arts and literature were the departments on cycle this year. And we spent some time, Mr. Vaughn and I spent some time with them throughout the course here trying to evaluate what their needs were as a department. The resounding need that came through as the number one thing was just a need for constantly trying to refresh and renew the text sets they have available for kids to read, to make them more relevant for the needs that and wants and desires kids want to read, reading levels, making those as appropriate as possible, and just making sure we always had some fresh books to have kids engage with in small group and large group. That kind of led to thinking about, well, how can we make this almost like a subscription, which most of the other departments are moving to based on what vendors are providing now, and kind of came to a proposal of trying to inject some new texts into their classrooms for this coming year, and then kind of supplying like a maintenance fund almost moving forward. So we're requesting $5,000 this year to get those 4 teachers quite a few new textbooks, or not textbooks, text sets for their classrooms. And then, you know, somewhere around $1,500 a year, I think would be an appropriate amount to allocate for each year moving forward, just to make sure that there's some text, new opportunities for new text be introduced in their classes each year. That's pretty much in line with some of the other departments and what we're paid for subscriptions for other departments and things like that. Outside of that, they looked into doing a writing feedback tool, but it was pretty expensive. And so we kind of punted on that one and said it's a want, not a need right now. And then to support language arts at the 6th grade level, Katie requested Grammaropolis, an app or a game for some grammar practice for her kids at $49 a year. So I didn't think that was too much for that one. So I guess in a nutshell, for ELA this year, we're really looking at about $5,000 to give teachers some funding to go get some new text sets for their classroom, and then that Grammaropolis subscription. I have spent quite a bit of time trying to figure out where we're at with subscriptions. And I think you guys have access to this. Michael, does everybody have access to this document that?
The one that here's what we're proposing.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, yep, no. So yeah, I'm just looking at my spreadsheet that has all the subscriptions and stuff on it. But it's okay, don't worry about it. I can forward it to everybody.
Well, they all would have had it at the board workshop.
Oh, that's true. Yep. So I was just going to say that getting closer to being able to piece together what we're spending on subscriptions each year. And it's going to change how we do things. You know, it's antiquated to think we're going to buy something and use it for 8 years and then buy something new. It just doesn't work that way with very many adoptions anymore. So I think that with a little more work, we'll pull together some information and be able to make those purchases as steady over time as we can, because I know that's important too. So, but that's kind of where we're at right now. We are going to have to spend a little bit of money on some Algebra 1 material. The subscription ran out from our previous math subscription, or our math cycle a few years back. So we'll have to spend a little bit of money on Algebra 1. We're going to buy the cheapest, most cost-effective textbooks that we can for Algebra 1 for a year, as Colby is really interested in kind kind of redesigning that course. And so we didn't want to spend a bunch of money on new text or a bunch of money on something that would just be a stopgap for right now. But those are really the ones I'm anticipating. Questions?
Are text sets actual books?
Yeah, they're like, when you look around like these piles of books, they're like, a set for either a small group or like a classroom set of like a trade book, typically.
Yeah.
Like big thick textbooks like they used to have. They're getting a lot more of those sets. Like we're in Mrs. Luther's room and we're looking around and there's like piles of book sets. So it'd be like,
and actually I've got a PO from Cassie. She started putting some ideas together and she's getting some where it's a class, everyone in the class will read it, and some of them are groups of 5. So that we can really differentiate based on kids' interest, need, and their reading levels.
okay. Any other questions for Josh? All right. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
And I just want to say publicly too, Josh has been like a godsend during this time. Josh, you've done a fantastic job of just helping out with trying to figure out this online curriculum stuff in a desperate time. So thank you for all your work on that.
No problem. I'm tired of being on Zoom. I'll say that. But
All are, but thank you for your hard work.
no problem. My honor.
All right, I'm gonna mute you again, or he's muted himself. Okay.
Everybody's so good at mute.
Yeah, they're like mute.
Yes.
They're pretty good at keeping their cameras off too. But all right.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the 2020-2021 curriculum resources as presented? Do we have a second? All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. Curriculum purchases are approved. Next item on the agenda is 28E agreements for the upcoming year. We've got one with VLC for pre-K and one with Collins Maxwell for Director of Maintenance.
Yep, so the 28E for BELC is just a continuation. And this year, we are funneling through to them 116,000 even, and so we'll pay them over quarterly, 29,000 each quarter. And then Michael, you probably want to talk about the Director of Maintenance since it's that new one.
Yeah. So that's the one we are going to share Pam 1 day a week with Collins Maxwell, and then they will pay us 20% of her salary. And then we also will be getting 5 students worth of funding for that. So we will be plus funding for that. So she'll just go over there 1 day a week and just work with their staff and work with their janitors and help manage things. And then she'll do a little bit of efficiency stuff, like if we are ordering paper towels and it's the same paper towel dispensers they have, and if we can get a better price for ordering 20 rolls instead of 10, we'll do that, and then just bill both for the cost of things. So it'll be a really nice partnership, so we're excited about that. And so those two, we actually have the 28Es in hand. And then we've also gotten a deal with Nevada to share a transportation director 1 day a week. So we'll also get the 5 students sharing for that. And then we'll just pay 20% of the salary of their transportation director. And he'll come over here, not necessarily always 1 day a week, but they will do more of, Deb's job isn't really going to change. It's going to be more of the maintenance type stuff. So we can take our buses over there and they can change our oil and check our tires and to Nevada. And then like if we have like a major repair,
Some of it might be able to do here.
Yeah, some of it might be able to do. And then if it's like a major thing, they'll be able to say, this is major. We need to take this to Meckler, like, or a bus fix it, like the, those Cummins or whatever. So, but anyway, we'll be able to get the sharing, operational sharing money for that as well. So that will more than pay for what we'll be plus money and after paying the 20% of the salary. And then the final one we just have worked out is, this is still in, we don't have the 28E for this either, but it's 5 districts are going to share a social worker. That's a new position that is an operational sharing. And so we'll just have one day a week that we can have a social worker come to the district. And because of their level of education, they can do mental health counseling with kids. So we'll be able to, at no cost to the kids and at no cost to the district. So we'll get, social workers are worth 3 students. And so us paying just 20% of the salary, we still will be all money ahead on that one. And Earlham is going to hold the contract. So Heartland is currently trying to find some social workers. They're interviewing them, and then they're going to help find one for us. So it's just like us and Earlham and Ogden, ACGC, which is, gosh, I don't know.
Clarion
Adair Casey.
Oh, did you say ACGC?
AC, Adair Casey, Grundy Center. No. GC. Well, anyway, ACGC. And then there's one other. Yeah, it could.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Adair Casey Guthrie Center. Yeah.
Okay, and then there's one other that I don't recall off the top of my head. But anyway, that this social worker will spend one day a week in each district, and then we'll be able to set up like counseling appointments. But they'll also be able to help with other things. Because honestly, when we first started this conversation, I said I don't really even know what a school social worker does. So that's when they explained that they can do this mental health counseling, but they can also, like if we have families who are struggling with trying to figure out internet or trying to just get some of their stuff together, these people can go out and help with some of our a little more at-risk families. And so that'll take some of that off Jason and Rob and Travis's plate. So it'll just be a great addition to our staff. So we just don't have a person yet, but as soon as we do, we'll have to approve that next month. But I just want to give you a heads up that that was coming.
I think that might help. You know, we've had a few students who've had to go to overnight facilities or, you know, something like that. So maybe that'll curb those costs.
Right. And just having, you know, we'll still have the shared counselor position with Collins Max or Colfax Mingo. It won't be Heather, but it'll be somebody. They just interviewed, I think last week. So just adding those resources is really going to help a lot. Just before Travis was just drowning, there's just too much for one person to do. So now he'll have 2 other people to help him. Granted, the one will just be here one day a week, but still it'll be a good help for our district. And that gets us up to almost our maximum on operational sharing. You can go up to 21, and that puts us at 19. So that's a lot. So we're very excited about that.
What does 21 mean?
So you get
21 students.
21 students.
So 21 times 6,336.
So yeah, so without any of these positions, we just wouldn't get that. But now we'll get, it's almost like getting 19 new students that we'll get funding for.
The transportation director, is he or she currently there?
Yeah, yep. And so he is actually super great guy. He is Nevada's transportation director. And actually right now they share half and half with Colonesco. And so our agreement's going to be with Nevada, but then Nevada is also going to work it out with Colo. So instead of like, I don't know if they'll each get 2 days a week and then we'll get the 5th day, or I don't know exactly how they have it worked out, but he's an employee of Nevada. His name's Jason Sampson, and he is just a great guy.
So we can approve the 2 tonight, the
right
BLC one and the Collins Maxwell director.
And there will be a little bit of a change on that shared director of maintenance, because at the time that we drew this up, we didn't have the new salaries in place, because we're talking about that tonight. So there will be a little bit of a change to that, I assume. I don't know that for sure until we decide what we're doing tonight, but that 13,000 number may change a little bit.
So anybody have any questions on that? Okay, we'll take the first one, the 28E agreement with BELC for the upcoming year. Do we have a motion to approve that 28E agreement? Do we have a second? All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, 28E agreement with BELC for the upcoming year is approved. And the next one is a 28E agreement with Collins Maxwell for Director of Maintenance. Do we have a motion to approve that 28E agreement? And second? All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. A 28E agreement with Collins Maxwell for Director of Maintenance is approved for the upcoming year. Moving on in the agenda is the 2020-2021 gas and diesel bids.
Great news.
We have more than one.
We don't, but the prices are awesome.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, jump on that now.
Yeah.
We hit the mother load right there.
tiny.
Wow, that's,
Look at that ethanol. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
63 cents.
there's no escalator clause or nothing in that.
Nope.
I mean, that's good for the year.
That's
right?
it. Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
We lock it in for like 5 years.
What were we just to, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. That shows on here. We paid $231.
Last year.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, hurry up and get that gas bid out.
No,
Yeah.
nobody
The one
cried. We don't
positive,
really
yeah.
go anywhere.
I think I take the
Yeah.
higher gas prices
Yeah.
if
Yeah, we
we
can have go back to
operate normally.
I know it's probably not a good thing for farmers, but
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, after reviewing those, do we have a motion to approve the gas and diesel bids for the upcoming year with New Century FS? Second. All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. The gas and diesel bids are approved for the upcoming year and awarded to New Century FS. Don't look like we have any open enrollment applications at this time. We'll move on to grounds, facilities, and transportation.
Okay, so I think Pam is going to talk about a couple things. Pam, I think this is you listed as iPhone, so I'm gonna unmute it. If it's not Pam, just bear with us. Pam?
Yes, dear.
Oh, good. Yes, okay. So we unmuted you, and we just got on to talk about the Warnick Shop Building restroom bid update.
Okay. So I thought I was coming to the meeting and that we were going to walk that tonight, but Warnick, we discussed in the past about not having an 80, accessible bathroom. And I had Mike Warnick come over to the ag building, and there is a way. His bid is very good, I thought, but the whole room has to be remodeled as well. I had Todd Frowine over there the other day, and we looked at it, and he thinks it would be awesome as well, and he is willing to do a remodel project. And I don't know if you think it would be a paid remodel, or if I should get bids for a remodel, or if the board was actually thinking it could happen during the school year. There still would be restrooms there. I know Todd is kind of out of sorts because he usually uses the kids at the end of the year to organize his shop and get it cleaned up, and it's quite out of sorts right now. So he's going to be spending some time there, but I guess I just need some direction on what you guys think. I think that if you're familiar with the ag building, it would be that room that cuts between the woods room and his open space. We would just block off one side and have a entry into there, and the bid shows that he would move the toilet flange over to 18 inches to make it be big enough for a handicap stall and put in a sink. And then the smaller bid is just to reinstall a newer that we saved from the existing building drinking fountain and put an actual faucet on the sink that has always just been a hose. So that's the things that I asked him for.
So if I look at this right, Pam, this bid is Warnick doing all the work, and ag class wouldn't have to do any of it. Is that correct? Or
No, it's just him putting in a new flange for the toilet, installing the sink. So it says he will do a tank toilet, a sink, patch what he does on the floor, but the wall patch would be done by others. And the remodel of the room would be in that area right now. There's a big shelf with all of his tools on it, and it's like a workbench. It's a big project, so I guess if you want to wait and see after you take a look at it, John, I was going to call you today and have you come and look just to see, and Julie thought you had enough information, so the bid price is really good. I think it's really, really good. I don't think that he's gouging us at all, but it's going to be a lot of work on our side.
So what his bid would do, basically get everything prepared for us to do.
He would put in a toilet and a sink, and we would have to, it's a kind of a cardboard or cardboard siding in there now. So it could just be painted. We just have to take out the shelves and paint it. He would install a toilet and a sink to the right standards to make it handicap accessible. That's what his bid is for the, I don't have it with me because I'm at home, $1,400 or whatever.
We've looked at that
Mm-hmm.
before several times. We need to do something out there probably, so.
And if there's another design, if one of you guys has a better design or a better solution, I'm definitely willing. That was just something that I thought would work, and brought Mike in to give me his advice, said it can be done. I told him there was a board meeting tonight and I would get back with him if the board had any questions. So if we want to pursue it further, we can discuss it a little later.
Or custodians.
Yeah. Any questions for Pam on that? Or thought? Share?
So it's 380 plus the 1475, right? And then plus the 200.
I had it separated out. The small bid is for only the drinking fountain and the faucet.
Job. Yep. Yep. And so
the bigger one is for the toilet and the sink. And the third 205 is if we want handicap rails, but we can figure that out.
Yep. Okay.
We do have toilet partitions that we saved from the elementary down by Janet's office from years past that I think we can even put stalls in.
Good job.
If it works. I mean, we still have to block off the wall, and we still have to build some kind of ramp from the welding room into the woods room to get into the bathroom. So yeah, I was hoping to look at that with somebody, but we can later.
If we approve this, it'll give us a start to.
Yeah, I agree. If you approve it, and then if we would need to change it up a little bit, we can change it up.
Big stuff.
Right. A step was pretty good. Would we want part of the tub faucet and then second for $14.75 to move the toilet flange and provide a new ADA tank toilet supply. Also, and then the grab bars, I guess that's something that we could do later, or if we have partitions or something else, we can figure that out ourselves. So maybe that last 225 we would not approve.
Okay.
That's just my thinking.
Panels already, I'm sure they got bars on them.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody wants to make one.
I'll
Do that.
the first big part, not the grab bar.
The $380 and the $14.75.
I second.
Second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion's approved to accept the part of the bid that's $14.75.
So they'll do the first two items, Pam, not the grab bars.
Okay, I think that's fine, and I'll try to design it so we can use the partitions that we have, or see if that'll work with Mike. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Pam, you still there?
Yeah, Pam, do you want to talk a little bit more? Pam, let's see. Let's see. Pam, I'm gonna unmute you real quick one more time.
Okay, yeah, I'm back.
Okay. Sorry.
I said roush out. I was gone. Go ahead.
We want to just talk real quick about the tuck pointing. Is that what you want?
Yeah, the tuck pointing. I had them just do a general inspection of our building. We walked the whole outside of the building, and of course, they're going to pick out every little thing. So the very first bid that we had, and Julie probably has the numbers in front of her, was they think that we should recock every seam in the West Gym. I mean, they're getting to a point, and there's pictures of everything. So I told them to separate that from what I thought needed to be done. So I had him come back. I asked him if he ever watched the show, Deal or No Deal, if he could call upstairs to the guy and see if he could get us a better deal. He told me I could call him Howie Mandel if I wanted to. And we got it down to like $6,000. And if you walk the building, you'll see on the ramp by the wellness center, there's bricks missing in the ramp. It's all settling, it needs caulking. I kept telling him that we could power wash. I don't see that there's power washing in that, but as part of their deal is they power wash everything to show what needs to be done. You know, if a tuck pointing will come out. So I think we got it down to, what is it, Julie, 6,600, and it would just be around the front of the building and the major things. There's a pretty big spot right beside the little window in the kitchen area. But he said, unless we do it all, we're wasting our time because the brick will settle. So I think we're going to have to do it in phases. And there are pictures of every single thing that I just marked off of his whole thing of the things that I thought needed to be done that were a detriment to watching our building fall apart. And so we're down to 6,600.
Good job out of you, Pam.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I said, he goes, do you want to call me Howie Mandel? I said, I don't care. Just call upstairs to the guy and see if he wants to make a deal or no deal. So yeah, that's, the pictures are they show themselves, and I gave Julie the whole pack at the beginning of the whole building, and it was quite overwhelming. And she said, listen, they're not going to want that. They're going to want what our opinion is, what needs to be done. So they came back. They were really good to work with. I've only ever used them. I've not ever really got quotes from anywhere else, but it's expensive to do when you're talking brick.
Yeah, they have the whole packet in front of them, Pam, electronically. They give us an electronic copy of it as well. So they have all the pictures and everything.
Yep.
Yeah, so if you guys agree with what we've taken pictures of, and I guess right now is a phase, we should do the things that, like Julie said, let's do the things we have to, and then if there's extra money on something, then we throw something else in. But I don't feel like this year the whole entire West Gym needs caulked from top to bottom. You'll see on that very first one, the electronic version, that he takes pictures of it and it looks like it needs it, but we don't have any wall leakage or anything. I mean, if we were damaging the inside, I would maybe go for that a little bit more, but yeah, pretty much what we got there is what we probably should do.
Okay.
Have we used this firm before?
Yeah, I've used them for 24 years, but we haven't had to have them very often. I mean, they probably 2 years ago, I think they did the whole front of the central office. That ramp was settling and pulling apart. They're the ones that put the drip edge on so that when the water runs down, it doesn't run down the brick, it defers off. And they would do that again on that limestone in front of the wellness center. Yeah, just precautionary things to keep it from damage.
For Pam? My thought is some maintenance items, if you let them go too far, it gets water in, and then it's a lot more expensive down the road than what, even though 66 seems like a lot right now, it could be a lot more.
Well, and I think it has to, like I said, it might have to go in phases as we just look at that every year and just see you know, what's in the budget. I know this year's hard. If you want to, you know, take the chance and go another year or wait till, you know, whatever you guys want to do. I just was getting the information.
600 and then doing it in phases.
Other building to
Right.
fall apart.
You
Yeah.
want to do it all?
No, I think I think Pam did a good job.
Yeah.
Getting what's critical right now.
Yep.
So I recommend that you move forward with that. Have any other questions or discussion on it? Somebody want to make a motion to that effect? Discussion? Have a motion and a second. All in favor of accepting the bid from Car Tuck Pointing for various tuck pointing, ceiling repairs, maintenance items. What was that?
$66.69.
$6,669. All in favor of that, aye?
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion's approved.
All right, Pam, I'm gonna mute you again.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yep, bye.
Okay, next item on the agenda is personnel. Looks like we have a couple new hires to approve.
Nice job on the band.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, I was thinking the same thing. I was so happy to see that. So kudos to probably everyone participated in creating that position. Yeah.
And then somebody agreed to that.
Yeah.
What do we know about?
Michael,
Yeah,
do you
so
wanna
Jamie,
talk to
from
him?
what I remember, brand new grad, Rob was really excited about her. I think Wartburg, I don't know.
I don't know that I have any of that.
Yeah, Rob, if you're available, can you unmute?
Wake up.
Yeah, he may have left the room. I don't know. He's still muted. Yeah. Oh no, Rob, he's not unmuted. Rob, are you on? No, he's still muted. Okay, she's a new grad. I'm pretty sure she was Wartburg, super full of energy. I haven't met her, but he was super excited about her. Oh, there he is. I have to unmute him. He is telling me unmute. Hold on.
There we go.
There we go. Okay, Rob,
I couldn't unmute myself. You had to unmute me.
I wish I could do that every time whenever on. But one on you and one on Jason. It'd have a lot easier life.
What was the question?
Can you tell us about the new band teacher? I was kind of ballparking that she was Wartburg, I think, super
Yep.
energy. That's what I remember that you told me.
Yep, Jason and I interviewed her. She's from West Branch, which was awesome, small town, very similar to Baxter. Went to Wartburg, was in drum corps there, marching band there. Was in an all Iowa honor band this year. Excited, great energy. I feel like it's a really good fit. I was really glad we could get somebody halftime and then make the other half work. She's gonna be our first sub on the opposite days when she's not doing band, and she was completely excited, especially about K-8. Usually it's I'll do 6-12 or 4-12, but I want no piece of the kindergarten or first grade. But she was like, that's the side I want. So she'll be Jason's first sub on those days and then working band the other days. So felt really good about it.
Yeah, we were really excited to have her as an elementary sub. That was part of the deal because we've had such a struggle getting subs at the elementary level, and she was all in on that. So we were just
So
couldn't
she'll
be
just
happy.
be our first. She'll be in the building every day, and
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to see that. Good job, guys.
Thanks.
I was
Yeah.
nervous about, how Rob kind of painted the picture of not having band.
well, he's really good about thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So, all right. So thank you, Rob. And then I don't know, Jason, are you on and available? I'm going to try and unmute you. And
He can talk about both of his.
Jason.
I'm available.
Oh, very good. Okay. Do you want to talk about your two elementary hires?
Absolutely. Super excited about Emily Schneider, our third grade teacher, coming to us from Iowa State. She lives up in Ames with her husband and 2-year-old son. gave her a tour of the building after we hired her. She came down, and she's just super excited, and we are too. Rob and I met Emily up at the Iowa State job fair, and knew when we met her that she was going to be a really good teacher. She ended up applying. We had a big pool for that job, and she rose to the top in that pool. So super excited about her. And then just this last week, we hired Ashley Stuka as our 4th grade teacher. Thank you for the 4th grade teacher position. Ashley is also an Iowa State grad. I believe she lives in Ankeny right now. And she'll be coming up tomorrow night, 5:30. I'm going to give her a quick tour of the building. Just feels weird to hire a teacher and they don't know what it is that they're getting into or where their room is, or you know what I mean. We always give those tours, and they get a chance to see town and see the school, and that just didn't happen interviewing teachers over Zoom. So Ashley had a great interview. She's very solid, great references, great experiences in her student teaching, and we felt pretty excited to have Ashley. So 2 really great hires for the elementary. Both of their teaching partners are very excited to get to work with them, and so we're just going to start including them on emails and stuff as we develop our return to learn plan so that they're ready to roll in the fall.
All right, any questions for Jason? All right, their heads no. So thanks for all that, Jason. All right.
Okay. So you want to take these separate or all together?
You can take them all.
Okay. Do we have a motion to offer contracts to Jamie Flanagan for half-time band teacher, half-time substitute teacher, Emily Schneider for 3rd grade teacher, and Ashley Stupka as a 4th grade teacher? Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion's approved to offer contracts to those 3 teachers. Okay, next item is classified staff salaries. Looks like there's a document in there that we can look at.
Yep, so I just kind of took a shot in the dark and started out with 0. And the reason I started out with 0 is because we probably need to talk about, because we haven't, about any additional pay we're going to give Pam for being shared. So we've talked about the district side of it and the monies that the district's going to get or the district's going to pay out, but we haven't talked about if Pam gets something for it. Since she'll be driving over there, just what your thoughts are on that.
And right now we pay Mr. Pickett, what do we pay him? He's 1 day a month.
He's 1 day a month. He goes to Colfax, Mingo, and then also to PCM, and we pay him $1,000 to do that.
And so what we'd kind of floated was, since Pam will be going 4 days a month, just $4,000 just to keep it consistent. So I don't know how you feel about that, or I see on here it's a little more than that.
Yeah, I did. I put 5,000. I'm not sure why I did that. I guess I was.
Sounds like
I know.
Did we talk
Yeah,
about that when we were talking about sharing positions in general?
I think we talked about that.
I'm not sure we were paying for, but I
Yeah.
remember talking about that number.
That was for Pages.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
That could be.
Yeah, that
Just
we're
a
not.
stipend in general.
Yeah, that we're not doing that.
The FFA has a stipend or.
Yeah.
That too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
With
we're talking
that.
about the. Okay.
Yep. So, but John suggested that it be a stipend so that we chose not to do it again next year, whatever, then that stipend goes away. It doesn't affect the actual contract, her contract.
And I think that logic makes sense too, based on
For sure.
what we've already done with
Pickett,
Pickett's
yeah.
position.
Yeah.
So 4,000.
Yes, I will change that to 4,000. I don't know what I was thinking.
That's not like you to go above, Julie.
I know. If anything, I'd go below.
Like, wait, that's not what we talked about.
So that was the only reason that I put the zeros in there, because even at 0%, if we add that in, it's going to cost us. And then I just kind of went up at 0.5% from there forward up to the 1.97, which is what it would equal with the teachers and their $100. It actually equaled 1.97%. So that's where I got that number.
The columns on the right, you're saying?
Yeah, on the far right.
Yeah, the far right, that 1.97, rather than go to a full 2, the 1.97 was equal to the teachers.
Okay, what's everybody's thoughts? You want to talk about where we're at, or kind of got bookends on it? The administrators all agreed to 0%. We've got the teachers at 1.97, so somewhere in between there.
So if you just add those together, if we were at 1.97, that's going to be about another 15,000 there.
+5 or +4 or
That would
stipend.
include that.
Does that include?
That would include that.
Oh, okay.
And then your paras, I sort of guessed at what they were going to be. It's a ballpark range, because they range from anywhere from $10 to $14.31. If you look down there towards the bottom, I have them see that line there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really just sort of an average.
And do we know yet how many?
That always depends.
It always adjusts. I can hold on just a second and I'll pull that up here.
And that can depend too. We could have a kiddo move in at any time.
Or somebody move
or
out.
somebody move
Yeah,
out.
right.
Yeah.
And I think Rob did say that he was, well, I guess he was talking about special ed teachers, but so right now we have, if I include Janet Damon, we have we have 13 paras. Generally, we always seem to fall right around 12 is what it seems like. No matter how hard we try it, that's just usually where it falls. So we may get a little heavy like in the fall, but then, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 or we'll quit or whatever, and then we just try to band-aid it, you know, and so it usually just kind of levels out right around 12. So we're starting at 13 if we're including Janet, which I assume we are. I haven't heard any difference.
I just know that when we were deciding on getting another 4th grade teacher,
Mm-hmm.
we said, well, splitting the class up, then maybe you're not getting.
Yep.
Right,
So,
yeah.
So there's 2 WIN teachers there, I believe, that are actually 1 WIN teacher, right? Because they're part-time. They're each part-time. They equal 1 person. And Jason has asked me if there is some categorical funding that we could use to pay for that. And so we did some digging, and part of the ESSA funding, which is the school improvement, it says interventions. You know, if you put in place some interventions, you know, no, we're not giving them the title. They'll still be paras, but we can use that funding to pay for them then. So now that's, you know, we get that ESSA for 3 years, and this is our 2nd year. So we may be just band-aiding it, but yeah.
But at least we can
Were
get a
those
year's
pairs
worth.
paid with ESSA funds last year or no?
They were paid with special ed funds.
So we've got, because of our designation,
Right.
that extra money that we can use to pay for it. So at least it's not general fund for some of that WIN stuff.
Right.
How many WIN teachers do we need? Or how many would Jason like?
I thought he had 2. Maybe he can speak to
Yeah.
it, but I
Jason,
don't know if that was.
are you available to talk again? I'm going to unmute you.
Yep,
Jason?
I'm here.
Okay, you want to talk a little bit about the WIN paras? They just have some questions about like how many and how that works, and because we were just talking about that we could use ESSA to pay for the WIN.
What you had asked about, Jason, about your WIN teachers, and I couldn't remember if Kay and Barb, even though they're both part-time, that's really one, and then is there another one, or are they the only ones, or how?
Yep, so we had Kay and Barb that basically split days during a week. They were half-time each to make a full position. And then we had Angela Mergen as our second, I guess, para, right? We would call her second as far as the position went. Those paras were WIN paras. They are, I'll just speak honestly, I believe they're instrumental in the work that we're trying to do in putting all hands on deck. So I understood that, having those paras is going to be a challenge this year. And so as far as finances go, and so we're trying to do some different things. And one thing that I hope to do is, if I'm capable of hiring a para, at least one para with some of the ESSA dollars, I would like to do that. Because, our goal is to stay off this ESSA list, this designation, right? We do not want to be a designated school again. And so our plan that we put in place, the system we put in place with WIN, was to minimize the number of students in a group so that our kids could get as individualized attention as they need to help them to grow in areas of reading and math. And so I think those paras are pretty important, so at least one of those paras. And then I'm working on some other ideas on how to get more people involved with helping with that, because we just want to keep that way. We don't want to be in a situation where a classroom teacher is trying to work with a group of students while the rest of his or her class is sitting in the room doing things kind of on their own. We want these kids to receive what they need, individualized, to benefit them in every possible way. So however I can make this work, I'm going to try to at least get one of those paras.
All 3 of those WIN people with the ESSA money?
Well, that's all up to Jason and what he decides he needs to do with that money. We have a certain set amount of money, which is about $50,000, but he may have some of that already earmarked
Some of
for
it's
something
for
else.
some PD that they're doing
Yeah.
with some math stuff.
But what that does help, Jason, you got my email, right? Saying that we could do that. You saw that, right?
I absolutely saw that. As far as, to answer the question, I kind of just I just heard it just a little bit in the background. I don't know that I want to spend all of our money on paras in that ESSA money, because there's other things that we would like to continue to work and do with our students. So,
well, you have that call. That's your call. So, but what that does do is, it frees up more special ed dollars for us to potentially pay for Janet as being a para. So remember when we were switching it from a contract, we told her she could go to a para. So that actually helps us out even more. We could use potentially those dollars to pay for Janet and others over to us.
How can you use special ed money?
Well, it depends. Potentially. It all depends on how Jason structures his paras. It all depends. So.
Right. So Janet may not be doing a special.
Yes. Even if she were to service all the students in a general way, not in a individual way, then she's serving some of the special ed students too. So we can use a portion of it, through special ed. Mm-hmm. So it just helps by shifting the dollars a little bit.
But we are going to meet with next Tuesday. All the secretaries are if we're going to meet and we're going to talk through different just roles and responsibilities and who's doing what and how could it work, and is there a way that we could still possibly use Janet in some elementary secretary sort of ways, And also, we're just trying to think outside the box because there's things that have to get done at that elementary. And without Janet, we're not quite sure how it's going to get done. So we're going to sit down all together, Jason, Rob, me, Julie, Deb, Janet, Angie, and just draw it up and say, how is this going to work? So, and how can we make it work with the amount of people we have and the amount of funding we have? And then Rob was just texting me. And also, like, we have some ideas about special ed teachers, depending on looking at people's rosters. You know, there's a possibility we may not hire back another teacher. Like, you know, Mrs. Sarah Fricky resigned, and we're trying to look at, is there a way that between Mrs. Ean and Mr. Wilson, could we work creatively and just cover it with the staff we have? And then that's, you know, $60,000 back in our pocket. So we're just trying to figure out how can we best use the people we have and the money we have to get done what we need to get done. So
that special ed money that was used for Sarah Fricky possibly could be used for some special ed parents.
Right, right. And then, you know, then you could use some of that ESSA money to, which is different, then we could use them for WIN. And, you know, and then, you know, maybe we have the money and we look at the stuff that we have to get done, and maybe we have enough general fund money to just pay Janet. You know, we'll just have to kind of see how it all shakes out.
So what have we done for, this is considered classified staff? Is that what
Yeah.
you said?
Yep.
What have we done in the past? I know has it always been different from teachers, or has it always been the same?
For the most part, it's generally the same, but you have went less before. And in that budget reduction environment where we cut the music teacher that year,
Yes.
all classified took freezes. So they didn't get anything. Only teachers got something that year.
How much are we saving by not giving administration any raise? Is that enough to give the classified a raise?
Let me look.
I was thinking in that budget, that was kind of like from zero though, wasn't it? I mean, like a 0% raise, right?
What?
The budget we worked off of a couple meetings ago when we were figuring how much.
Yeah, that wasn't including any raises.
Right,
Oh,
yeah. So that was basically.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Ground
So where we
zero
were
there.
214, now, you know, any raise, we're going backwards.
Right.
Yep. But I haven't added in those two new
Oh, the operational sharing.
operational sharing.
Yeah, so that'll give us back. Well, 5. We'll get those. We won't get it this year. They'll
be
count.
two,
It'll be the following year.
21, 20, 22.
So if we're at 19, and what were we at last year? We were just at Josh. No, Josh and Heather. So we had 8 before, and now we'll have 19.
Wow.
So that'll be
So 11.
11 more. So that's 77,000 roughly more that we'll get than we did.
Mhm.
But it's a year down the road.
Yeah. And a little bit of that we'll get back because of like the $4,000 for, well, no, we'll still get the funding, but we'll have to spend a little of it. So it's not like 77,000 more in our pocket.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Because we'll have the salary on.
yeah, like a portion of the salary and then the
Yeah.
portion, or we'll have that stipend.
Positions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts? I guess personally, I'm sitting there thinking, I mean, in the time we're in right now, it's kind of crazy. I mean, there's employers furloughing people, laying people off, whatever, and we haven't. We've continued to pay. So to me, that's worth something right there, even if we did a 0%, that we've stuck by their side and we're continuing to pay their salary versus you know, some
Laying them off,
some
or laying
big
them off.
companies, it's like, yeah, or across the board, 15% cut, you know, and we're not.
And we don't know
We're
if
not
that's not
talking
coming,
cut
you know?
here, right? But so I mean, the people, they do a great job, and you want to pay them as much as you can, but again, you have to be able to keep the company running here too. When I say company, that's the school, so you can't get yourself in a bind where we can't continue to operate. So personally, I guess if there's a year to just stay even where we're at, it would be this year, in my opinion.
Do any of these positions listed here have benefits?
Mhm.
Yeah.
All of them except for the not contracted. So down at the very bottom don't. All the others do.
Okay.
So those ones that have asterisk by it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. So those ones that don't have an asterisk by it are either getting health insurance or they're getting an additional $3,300 a year in their paycheck. You know, because they didn't take the health insurance or yes, and none of that's calculated in here. Plus their, you know, sick leave and personal days and that.
Thoughts, discussion?
I wish we could give them the same, but I do understand this is a tough year. These people don't get paid enough, but it's never gonna be enough. They're such a small district, and so I understand where you're coming from. I can support that, only I do feel, I wish we could pay them as much as the teachers, because they are, you know, the salary increase as much as we did the teachers.
Any other thoughts?
I don't know if I'm figuring this right. It's like a 1% increase minus the stipend, not including the stipend.
Mm-hmm. I can just take that right out of
It's
there.
like cost $4,955. It's kind of just adding up those totals.
Is it adding up the total rows, Julie?
Yes. So is it, did you say 1%?
Yeah.
I'll just take that right out of there. And you're only looking at $1,200 for an increase
But
for that
all those
top
combined,
section. Yep.
Oh, 1,200, and then 1,200, and then
the 1296.
And then 1,296, and then the 2,436.
so 5,000-ish
5,000.
for 1% raise.
And really, that 4,000, I just wanted it to be a place where you didn't forget that we were going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So it really isn't in addition to, it's just coming off of the amount that we're getting.
That's
You know what I mean?
77,000.
So rather than 20,000, we're getting 16,000.
So it is kinda like
You know, so you
Okay.
really truly can take that off of there if you want to. Yeah.
I'd be inclined to say 1% anyway, just $5,000, but it's, I don't know, I think you deserve something.
Yeah, I do too.
Like I said,
Yeah.
this year, at the end of the year here, we've been pretty good, but
Well, I mean, we aren't, you know, like we aren't quite to the 300,000, but we have made a
pretty good dent. And if you think about, Michael and I were talking that, we do have a month of not paying paras, not paying those hourly people because of unemployment, and we don't have to pay that because of the COVID-19. Normally we would have to pay it. It would come out of our unemployment insurance, but we don't have to do that. So we did save some money there. Sure.
But where did the state come down on that? I thought the state was like, you need to pay them rather than put them on unemployment.
No. If we furloughed like our coaches and all of those people, we were already budgeting for them. And so then if we put them on furlough, then it was like we were double dipping.
Okay.
So.
But the paras aren't considered that way?
No, because they're an hourly, they weren't contracted. We don't generally figure them in when it comes, into levying for budgets and things like that. We did pay them for the first month, I believe it was. Yeah. And then after that, then we told them to. And I don't know that the state really, I don't know what the state's decided to do. That was, they just said,
there was
be careful.
Two different,
because
we had one attorney
said one
saying
thing
this
and Matt
and
Carver
one
was
saying
saying
that.
Yes, yes. And I don't know if they ever, maybe we don't know that yet.
Okay.
Maybe it's too soon to tell, but we chose not to furlough any of our people just to be safe, because I do get it. We did tax our payers, our taxpayers for that. And then to not pay them, it's sort of like we are double dipping,
Right.
So
Yeah.
I totally get that.
So the paras, that's the only group that fell into that,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
That hasn't been paid.
Yeah.
Got it.
Well, they were paid for a month.
Right.
Yeah. but-
Further.
Yes.
Yeah.
But for May, they so like from May 1st to May 22nd, they didn't get paid, but they applied for unemployment. And they did. Once they apply, it comes to me and I have to sign off on it. So. Mm-hmm.
I agree with you, Corey. I think it'd be, when you look at the numbers, it doesn't sound like it's not a huge number that we're looking at, and I would feel better offering some kind of raise up. Obviously, it's small.
Yep.
But we also are in a pretty tight year, so something's better than nothing.
I agree.
Okay, do I hear that as a motion and a second?
Second. I assume it's Corey's motion.
Right.
I'll second.
Okay.
Are you 1%? Is that what you're
1%.
moving, or?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to give a 1% increase to the classified staff. All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion's approved for a 1%.
Thank you.
Okay, administrative staff salaries, I don't know if we need to visit that. We've talked about it and they've all agreed to a 0 increase, which again, I tremendously appreciate that. We hope times get better in the future and we can, and they will, but we've been through this before where they've done 0 and we try to make it right with them in the future when we do have a little more funding. So, but it's greatly appreciated.
I feel bad. We're all sitting here. Oh, these people deserve this, and teachers deserve that. And it's like you guys are working your tails off. It's like, it's hard.
That's all right.
It's okay.
We see the numbers like every day, whereas like we see it. So
I just think about the alternative and I just think, okay, I mean, I'm a worst case scenario person,
Really?
I know that's hard to believe, but, and I just think, okay, if the doors were shut and they're looking at who took what, and you see, well, the administration took pay raises and they still shut the doors, to me, that just doesn't look good. So that's how I think about that.
Okay, move on to the next item. That's the superintendent's report.
all right. Not tons. We've got the memo of understanding. That was, I worked with the teachers union on that, and they were very generous. And the way we worked it was, we're just going to take those 4 extra, we had 5 days. And so we're going to use one this Tuesday with the secondary staff as just a work day to finish up their grades and anything that they need to wrap up. So they'll be working next Tuesday. And then the elementary staff, their workday is yet to be determined because Jason was talking about those books. They're going to do it on that book day, whenever that is. And then we're going to move those other 4. There was 2 PD days and 2 snow days. We're going to move those to like sometime later in June, July, or August, depending on when some of this PD comes out with the return to learn stuff. And so we've just said the agreement was that we'll use them up before August 24th. So, and they were very agreeable to just being flexible with where we need to put them. And we're going to work through the details of when we find out when PD is going to be or what it's going to be, we'll set it up. So that was what that was, memo of understanding what it was about. And then this return to learn plan, John and I were laughing that the safety plan was just the precursor to cut your teeth on writing a plan. We thought that was a big deal. Turns out that was nothing. So we actually met for the first time as a group, a couple days ago. And it was with the district leadership team, the academic team. So it was, the leadership team has been meeting once a week for the whole time, but we've added in a few new members because as this guidance has come out for this return to learn plan, it's just a huge task, and you have to have teachers involved with it because it's their work that they're doing. So the normal team that meets once a week is me and Jason and Rob and Josh and Travis and Dennis and Zach Hasselbrink and Greg Pickett. So we would meet and just talk through, okay, how are we going to do this? What's next steps? So now we've added into the team, the core team, those people plus Casey O'Rourke as an elementary representative, Scott Brummel as a middle school representative, and who's the high school? Oh, Colby Wagner. Colby Wagner was the high school one. And so we met in here the other day and just started talking through, okay, how are we going to do this? What's it going to look like? Because I don't know how familiar you are with the guidelines, but we have to have 3 plans. We have to have a continuous learning plan, which is kind of an online learning plan that will be required. That's a requirement coming down from the DE. So, like right now we're voluntary. And so we didn't have to figure out what are we going to do with our kiddos without Wi-Fi? What are we going to do with anybody who has an IEP? How are we going to manage that? Well, now we have to figure that out because that's part of the return to learn plan. And then we have to have a plan for if we're in this building, how's it going to look? Do we have to have social distancing? Do we have to have A day, B day? Do we only have our elementary kids come a couple days a week and our middle school, high school only come 1 or 2 days a week? Or, how does busing look? So all those kind of considerations. And then we have to have a hybrid plan, which is, we're here and then something happens, there's an outbreak and we got to pull the plug, send everybody home. You have to be able to just go like from today you're at school till tomorrow you're not, and you're not going to be back for 2 more weeks. So we have to be able to come up with this fluid plan of how is it going to look. And you have to have it, your tentative plans uploaded to the Department of Ed's website by July 1st. So we've been just starting to really dig in, but a little bit of the frustration is the guidance is not all the way out yet. And the DE they're doing a great job. They are working hard at trying to get the information out to us, but things from them have to come from, the Department of Public Health, and they have to come down from the governor. And it's all a moving target because we don't even know what things are going to look like in August. So it's hard to plan for that. So anyway, that's been pretty much all consuming. It's just this return to learn plan. And then even today, the governor announced that sports were open back up. So while that's really exciting and we're excited for kids, we're like, holy smokes, that's all of a sudden we have to get that figured out between now and, June 15th. And I think kids start practice, they can
June
start
1st.
June 1st. So, which is like
A week.
next week. So, Mr. Luther and Mrs. Freaky and I were texting back and forth like a whole bunch today. Like, so we're meeting on Friday morning to talk about, okay, what's this going to look like? How are we going to do this? And, so she was going to put something out on social media just saying, we're working on it, but we don't have we don't have all the guidance yet. The union and the association are supposed to be putting out more guidance, I think, Tuesday. And Ann Lebo has another Zoom tomorrow. So there's just, it's stuff coming at us a million miles an hour. So we are just, that's really pretty much what we've been working on. So I don't know what questions you have for that, or just stay tuned. I mean,
I saw, just a side note, I saw, it was on the news, like the Missouri schools are doing 4 days in school, and every Monday is online learning, so that they can just stay fresh with it, in case there was ever a breakout or something, then they already know what they're doing.
Yeah. And it's everyone's doing, like, school districts have been so helpful to each other. I mean, I'm every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 o'clock, there's a Heartland area superintendent Zoom. And so it's been such a great resource. I mean, everybody's on there and they're putting together documents that, like, if some school has a really great idea of how they're going to do, K2, recess, how are you going to handle K2 recess? Then they might upload a document like, this is how we're going to do it. And then rather than 350 school districts all trying to come up with it, we can look at each other's and steal and tweak and make it work for us. So everyone's just, as a state, just collaboratively trying to figure this out together. So, I mean, that part has been awesome to see. Let's see, what else do I have? I can't remember. I wrote this thing last week, and things have changed so much between the last week and now. So we've been working on operational sharing. So we talked about that quite a bit already. And one thing that I have on here, I just want for the operational sharing, Collins Maxwell reached out to me and asked if we would be interested in sharing a business manager. And I don't know that we are, but I thought in due diligence, I need to bring that up to you guys. And you can only get up to 21, and we're at 19 already. And business manager is a 5 position. And so even if we were all in and really wanted to, we probably wouldn't make our money back on it to break even on it. And so if you want us to pursue it, we will, but I wouldn't overly recommend that right now, just because of the position we're in. I'm still learning, and we're in this budget cutting, and like, it's pretty helpful having Julie here all the time. So if anyone, I'm seeing lots of head shakes, like we're good with just staying where we're at. Okay. Okay, very good.
I appreciate email resource.
Yeah.
Like actually sending you into that.
What's that?
I would say I'd rather have you be an email resource, like, hey, what do you do for this situation?
Yeah.
Rather than,
I don't
Julie's the
know.
one to make the decisions.
I'm
Right.
not really sure why they didn't go that route, because I'm happy to do that. And actually, like IASBO sets up official mentors, mentees, and I've been a mentor before, and so I don't know why they haven't thought of that.
And maybe I actually had an email from Corey today saying, hey, I want to talk to you about some stuff. So, and I just saw it, and so we're going to talk tomorrow. So I can offer that up, that you'd be glad to do that. But yeah, so like whenever I get these inquiries, at least I'm going to share them with you guys. I talked a little bit about the meeting we're going to have with the secretaries next week, just to talk through, like, okay, how is this going to look? And everybody does a million things that we all don't see. So it's just going to be like kind of putting it up on the table. How's it going to look? Who's going to do what? And how are we going to manage the doors? And how are we going to manage the ID badge system? Just all those things that with this whole new setup, how's it going to look? So we just need to get the people who are doing that work around the table to kind of rewrite the job descriptions. So we're going to start working on that on next week as well. And then one thing, John, I don't know if we have really talked about this. Remember, like out there where they put the new cement, and then we've talked about putting maybe a nice bench or 2 benches, something maybe like flat that you could sit on from either side. So it's just somewhere when you first come up to the building, because at first it was like grass and we were afraid people were going to drive there. And so now that's like rocks, but it looks like a place that kind of needs a bench or something. So we know that there's some, the money for benches, haven't some classes donated or like people
Or
have passed
memorial, I think,
away?
yeah.
or
We
some
do have some
memorial
memorial monies. So I know like Deb's class
Yeah, that was,
has some memorial money. I think it's around $1,000, which would take care of one bench. And then we still have the Halter Memorial. I don't know if that's something that they would be interested in, just because, you know, Cora was in the lunchroom and that, and they sort of told me that they kind of wanted to gear it that way, but I haven't come up with anything in the lunchroom that's not tangible, you know? And so we still have that money. So, and then I was thinking that you were going to use something, or you were thinking, were you thinking about the deal
Yeah. I
for
haven't
landscaping
talked-
anyway?
talked
So,
I need to talk to the other people on that.
so I feel like somewhere we could come up. We also have Stuart Allspa. We have some memorial money for that, and they had asked for a bench to go over on the old third baseline of the Babe Ruth field where it used to be, because Stan was a coach for that many years, and, you know, Stuart, and then Sharon taught here and all that. We haven't actually said it yet because of everything that's happened, but, you know, maybe they'd rather put it up here in front of the school. I don't know, you know, so I do feel like we maybe have some options as to
And
pay
I
for it.
talked to Dale last week, and he'd found a website that had different benches. He found a steel one, which I don't know. In my mind, I have to think like concrete, pretty substantial,
mhm.
because I mean it does kind of serve as a barrier from the street to the steps going down in
Mhm.
there. But one that's just concrete, like say no
Looks
back
just
on
like
it, so you
a-
can
yeah,
sit
yeah.
either way.
Way.
You
Just
can
looks like
face the
stone.
school or
Yeah.
the street. So if kids waiting for mom and dad to pick them up, they can
Mhm.
sit down
I
there.
know the senior class has got some money too, that they're kind of tossing around something to do in memory of Ronan.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I don't know what ideas they've got, but that might be a.
Mhm.
I think if
Because you
you,
could put a plaque on
For
it or
sure,
whatever,
for
and
sure.
that would be.
Mhm.
I do know that Peterson's for Kruger, they had had benches made for the dugouts out there,
Mhm.
and I know that they poured their
Betty and then Peters. Oh, you're talking
Bill-
about Peter
Bill
Kruger.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I know that Kyle made the bench, and then they made their own cement slab. They did their own cement work themselves, but I think it's going to be around $1,000 if you were to do like a metal bench kind of a thing with the cement slab. So,
Well,
but
the
I think
cement's
it'd be-
already there.
the cement's already there. You
It's
just have to
are
get
you
the
you're
bench.
talking more like just a flat bench that's
Right.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
solid and
I think it'd be cute, like you said, just stone, like
Mhm.
cut stone or something. Maybe we can
Mhm.
go through mid landscaping to get
Yeah.
that, you know, with the stone legs or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Dale was supposed to email me. I don't think I got it yet. That website, because he said it had all different kinds of
Sure.
benches.
Sure.
I can make myself a note to ask him about it too.
How many do you think?
Probably just two, I think.
Like one on each side?
Well, and are you thinking like parallel to the street?
Right.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking. So that it,
Like on each side of the sidewalk though? Or is that what
no,
you're
I
thinking?
think
or
like have
is
you
it out
seen
further?
out
Between
like
the sidewalk and the street.
Oh,
yeah, so the
Yeah.
sidewalk and then there's like rocks. So it's kind of like
They poured the sidewalk, and
sidewalk.
then there's also, they poured another
Okay.
4 or 5 foot wide strip of
Spot.
concrete
yeah.
Mhm.
on the north side of the sidewalk. And then from there to the street is that river rock.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
So do we need other landscaping done though, or no? Is it pretty much taken care
Yeah,
of?
I think it's,
we went through a plan with Dale.
yeah.
John and I met with him.
All the
a week or
river
two ago.
rock
Yeah.
that's out there is done. They're gonna, whatever's black dirt now is gonna be sodded
Grass
or
and stuff,
seeded,
yeah.
so.
And they're doing that and all that? Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Yep. And then we're gonna put some
We're gonna be
overtime,
responsible at some point
some
to put some
plants
bushes
and-
or something between our parking lot and Hoskins.
Yeah.
That was part of
Yep.
that
Mhm.
agreement.
Yeah,
but,
I remember that.
Yeah.
But we talked about like if we ever wanted to add some small trees or something. The kids are always like around. Is it like Earth Day or Arbor Day or something?
Yeah, they do the
They plant some
trees
trees.
for kids.
Yeah, so we thought about doing something like that, like just a little bit later,
Kind of
like
being
kind of let it.
minimal right
Yeah.
have areas where we want to put a tree.
Yeah, it's usually like $5,000, but I think the city usually goes in with us and we do all those trees. Remember that? We did that for a few years, like through Alliant Energy, I think.
So otherwise, that's about all I've been up to. So
It's probably busier now than if you had
yeah,
actually school. in
yeah, for
session,
real.
right?
We were talking about that. We're just like, it never shuts off. You know, it's, you hear your email ding and you're like, oh, I'll just take care of it right now.
Because usually, like at school, you know,
Yeah.
kind of at school, like after school, you get in the car and go home. You kind of just shut it off, and you still check, but you kind of, but at home, like you just never shut it off. It's always there. So it's just it's a weird time, but you know, it'll never be this again, hopefully. So we'll just figure it out. So.
Okay, anybody have anything for Michael or any other discussion?
Thank you for
Yeah,
all of
thank you.
everything.
Thanks for the nice emails. A couple of you sent yesterday. I was going to reply back, but I just didn't get to it. But thank you. That was really, really kind words. So.
Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn? Do we have a second? All in favor, aye. Close, same sign. Meeting's adjourned.